Two of our main characters are already dead, Howard Hamlin, who died in the Part 1 finale, and chief antagonist Lalo Salamanca, who was killed by Gustavo Fring in the previous episode, capping up the long-running Salamanca-Fring conflict. Both corpses were buried underneath what will soon become Gus's meth lab. With 5 episodes remaining, there are only 4 main characters left: Jimmy McGill, Gus, Mike Mantrot, Gus's chief enforcer, and Jimmy's wife Kim Wexler. We have 5 episodes to connect the events of Better Call Saul with Breaking Bad now that our major antagonist is deceased, which takes place about 4 years later, remember. In addition, we must decide Kim's fate as well as that of Jimmy Jean Takovic. Will Kim actually pass away as many believe? Or does she survive and possibly run into Jimmy again in his Omaha Cinnabon as Jean? We shall shortly learn the outcome. Without Kim Wexler, Better Call Saul would not exist. The fact that I can say so is a true credit to Peter Gould, his creative team, and the amazing Ray Seahorn, who developed a brand new yet incredibly captivating character. Seriously, it's no accident that the show's identity started to emerge as soon as Kim's character had a more prominent role in season 2. Although most viewers were drawn in by the obvious connection to Breaking Bad, Kim and her unresolved fate became one of the main draws. Somehow, speculating on what would happen to Kim surpassed worrying where the show was going with Jean in terms of popularity. All the rumors of a terrible death or a prison term seem absurd. Of course, this is how Kim would leave the stage. The parent program of Better Call Saul would commit a horrific murder. The sobbing, mature dialogue seems much more appropriate for Saul. It was impossible for Kim to fix matters after Kim and Jimmy rode their Giselle and Victor routine until the wheels came off. Early in the episode, Jimmy spoke of a time when he and Kim would be able to get past what had happened to Howard, but Jimmy was obscured by darkness as he delivered the speech. Kim, on the other hand, had a bedroom lamp shining on her face. Jimmy might be able to conceal his guilt and regret in the recesses of his mind, but with the light on, it was clear that Kim would never be able to forget. Their residence, the law, and their love were all now tarnished. Perhaps the fact that they went back to the HHM office, where their convoluted little love story started, sealed the deal. Jimmy and Kim first pretend to be strong before having the customary funeral chats with Rich Schwiekert before moving on to send Cheryl, Howard's estranged wife, their sympathies. Cheryl interrogates the duo about the pranks and what Howard stated during their previous encounter because she is well aware of who they are and the nature of their relationship with Howard. Cheryl refuses to believe that Howard was using drugs, but Kim fabricates a story about catching Howard using late at the HHM offices. It serves as a horrible reminder of how Jimmy and Kim's con act best functioned. Jimmy is the subdued lead and Kim is the commanding closing. Kim offers Jimmy a deep, passionate kiss that instantly feels like a goodbye, mirroring their previous smoke breaks from season 1. Jimmy and Kim rarely were intimate until after a clever hoax. This time was no exception, but it served to remind Kim that their tricks were always done at the expense of others. We shortly discover that Kim has resigned as an attorney and is withdrawing from all of her cases. Jimmy comes home after hearing the news and attempts to calm her down by telling her that they can still repair the damage done by using some of their special magic, but it's too late. Kim isn't just quitting the law, she's also saying goodbye to Jimmy. She acknowledges that she was aware of Lalo and that the reason she held back telling Jimmy was because she anticipated a negative response and that Jimmy would abandon their Howard scheme. She was aware that they would end their relationship if he cancelled. She appears to acknowledge what viewers have long feared, that their bond was held together by the enjoyment of con games played with Jimmy. Despite her love for him, Kim was aware of how toxic their relationship was, especially in the wake of Howard's death. In this interaction, Seahorn and Bob Odenkirk both excel. Kim is pulling away from Jimmy, and you can practically see Jimmy physically grasping for her. It seems sincere, like a genuine split, and isn't overly dramatic or contrived. Kim carries herself during the talk as though she has previously dealt with the difficult emotions in private and is attempting to disappoint Jimmy without going through everything again. I've been anticipating this moment ever since the two made their love official, and witnessing it come to an end is gut-wrenchingly heartbreaking. Before I could grasp the enormity of it all, the show cuts to 2005, where a lot more bald Jimmy McGill is getting ready for the day in his gaudy McMansion. It's a shocking decision that signals the rest of the season will take place during or close to the events of Breaking Bad. A part of me regrets that we won't witness the slow change from broken shell to hardened sleazeball But it's probable that the decision was made for financial rather than labor-saving reasons. Considering how little time we have left, perhaps this was the best course of action to avoid wasting too much of it. It also raises the intriguing potential that we might encounter Kim Wexler and Saul Goodman from the Breaking Bad era. The sequences with Gus this week were possibly my favorite BCS Gus stuff we've been given, even though the breakdown of the Jimmy-Kim relationship will probably dominate the discussion surrounding fun and games. Better Call Saul, in my opinion, hasn't done much to broaden or alter our understanding of Gus Fring. My perception of Gus hasn't changed, even though characters like Mike and even Hector Salamanca have been given greater nuance. This criticism is finally refuted by fun and games. When Gus visits Don Eladio's property, the Salamancas confront him there and accuse him of being to blame for Lalo's disappearance. The old Salamanca is fabricating tales, according to Don Eladio, who presents all the evidence that proves Lalo was killed during the attack on his compound. Gus lingers on the property near the pool where Max, his alleged romantic partner and former business partner, was killed. When Gus gets home, he stops by a fancy restaurant and chats with David, a sommelier, about wine. It seems that Gus and David admire one another, and possibly Gus's visit is prompted by romance, but as David leaves the room to get Gus another bottle, Gus leaves the restaurant without waiting for him to come back. Gus seems to have decided that the risk involved in getting close to another man is simply not worth it because of his memory of Max. David will unavoidably only be employed as a means of reaching or harming Gus. He understands that maintaining a personal life is simply not possible in his area of work. We could have used more of this examination of Gus's compartmentalization throughout the course of the performance. In order to give Nacho's father closure, Mike ultimately resolves to meet with him. Mike tries to convince Manuel that his kid was a fine person who got mixed up with criminals rather than becoming like the gangsters he worked with. Mike also implies that Nacho will receive justice, but Manuel recoils at that idea. Mike is informed by Manuel that vengeance and justice are not the same thing and that they are both cycles that will never end. Mike receives criticism from him for being simply another thug like the others. It seemed like Mike was losing another tiny piece of himself in this situation. Although it might have appeared that Mike wanted to treat Nacho and Manuel fairly, it also seems just as possible that Mike was anticipating Manuel's response and wanted to correct him. It is as wonderful and tragic as the rest of Mike's narratives since it is the hard-boiled, dark night of the soul type of material. It's certainly anyone's guess where these next 4 episodes will go, but I hope Kim Wexler won't be gone for 4. Even though the split felt dramatic, it didn't feel like a genuine farewell. Without Kim Wexler, Better Call Saul would not exist, and without her, I believe the finale would also not exist.